Jesse Montano covers the Colorado Avalanche for Guerrilla Sports. Always a pleasure to have you back on the show, Jesse. And there are a lot of areas to talk about with this Colorado Avalanche team because there's so many things going well for the Avs. But I want to start with the big dog, Nate MacKinnon, overtime winner over the weekend, odds-on favorite to win the Hart Trophy, 6-point lead in the scoring race. You got anything else you want to add on to the Nate MacKinnon conversation here?
Great to see you guys. Always great chatting with you. I was just joking on my pod earlier or last week. I'm running out of adjectives for him. It seems like every season he just takes it to another level. And right when you think he can't possibly have another level, right? He does what he did in New York a couple afternoons ago. This is something special we're seeing from Nate this season. He showed up to camp he's an intense guy to begin with, but he showed up with just a different intensity, a different sense of determination than even I've ever seen in, almost 10 years covering him. I think that loss to Dallas really, really stung him. And he looks like he is just on a mission in a different way than even we've ever seen him. He's just on another level right now.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable to watch, right? I think that whole team and where they're at. And, the breakdown for me is you start the season without your starting goalie, right? Mackenzie Blackwood injured. They kind of slowly work him back in because Scott Wedgwood's unbelievable. Then Scott Wedgwood goes down. Mackenzie's just been back. It started November. And the run that he has been on now, like having these two goalies, you got two guys sharing. They both have a 920 save percentage. A team would kill for a 905 in the NHL. When you guys are getting 920, what's there to say about that? Because it's easy to say the offense is creating, solving all the problems, but this goaltending is really setting the table as well.
No, it's a great call out because there's so much of yes, the Avs have looked dominant in a lot of games this season, but there have also been plenty of games along the way here through whatever it is, 29 games where they've needed strong, performances in net. So what these guys have been able to give them has been huge. But I want to talk about Mackenzie Blackwood a bit here because talking with him getting back, so he had a procedure done right after the playoffs last year that actually kept him off the ice all summer. So when training camp opened and we saw him working, slowly back with skills coach, some of the trainers, that was the first time he was getting on the ice since they got eliminated in the playoffs. So it really took him a bit to get his timing right, to feel comfortable. He was even just telling me locating guys on the ice at game speed, that takes a bit for you to get back. So having Scott Wedgwood playing the way he was not only big for the Avs and obviously picking up points and winning games, but it allowed Mackenzie Blackwood to rehab back from that procedure over the summer at his pace, at a pace to make sure that he wasn't, overexerting himself or coming back too early. And Mackenzie has told me, that took a lot of pressure off of him. He was really feeling hey, I need to get ready. I need to get back. And Scott Wedgwood doing what he did really kind of helped alleviate a lot of that.
Yeah, it does, right? And we're seeing that firsthand with so many other teams, right? Where they lose one guy and the other guy can't carry the bag, right? That's important. You got to get there's injuries that happen. Now, it's never too early to talk trades, to talk depth. Where does this team go from here, right? Because they're going to be in a very good situation, right? They're building up a nice base. They have the lead in the division. But when trade deadline comes, it's going to be after the Olympic break. Where do they start to add in pieces to really, make this team a cup contender to try to win it this year?
Yep. It's a great question because when you're rolling like this, you sit there and you kind of balance how much do you want to shake things up? How much do you just want to, stick with this group that's rolling? I really see two areas for this group right now that I say, yeah, you probably want to add there before, the deadline comes and goes. And the big one is your third line center. Jack Drury has performed there totally admirably. No real complaints. But I think, having seen a team that went 4 rounds, won a Stanley Cup just a few years ago, that their third and fourth line did a lot of heavy lifting for them in some of those playoff games. So I think you'd want Jack Drury to slide probably back down to that fourth line, and you'd want an upgrade there at 3C. And then truthfully, I think you want a 7th D. You want one more guy that if you have an injury, you feel really comfortable that he can go in there and eat up minutes. They've got Ilya Solovyov in that role right now, and it's pretty clear Jared Bednar doesn't have a ton of trust for him. They haven't played him in over a month. So I think you want a third line center. I think you want a 7th D, and boy, oh boy, is that different than what we were talking about with this this team at the deadline the last couple of years.
Well, yeah, I mean, last year was just absolutely bonkers, but along those lines, like, I mean, they don't have a pick until Puckpedia says they don't have a pick till the 4th round this year in the draft. Like, things are going so well. 2 regulation losses on the year. I think I heard you say the other day that they've only lost by multiple goals like once this year. Like, with all this stuff going right, isn't this maybe a year for Chris McFarland just be like, you know what? Let's save some futures. We traded Cal Ritchie. We traded a 1st round pick last year. Like, this team is good enough. If they're going to win, it's going to be because of the guys we already have. Like, not to say you do nothing, but like, they don't need to make a big splash this year per se.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I really do. I think you're talking tweaking around the fringe. Who can you get you're exactly right. Who isn't going to break the bank? You don't have a ton of assets anyways. And credit to Chris McFarland. He understandably took a lot of heat last year. Like, he had to completely turn over his goaltending room. He traded a franchise cornerstone. And right now, obviously still a long way to go. You got to see how this season ends, but like, a lot of those moves are looking really good. Bringing Brock Nelson back, and suddenly he's heating up and on pace for 30 goals again. You just, a lot of those moves that he took some big swings on last year look like they're kind of panning out. So no, it's not an unfair question of like, does he just say, hey, I'm gonna cash out. I'm not gonna keep going here. Like, things are going pretty well. We'll see. Like I said, I think tweaking around the fringes. And then just real quick, I just want to give it again, Chris McFarland, for as few draft picks as the Avs have had, how many assets they've traded away. You've got Sam Malinsky, who's, quietly creeping up into like a second pairing conversation type of guy. And then Gavin Brindley, he's out hurt right now. That's a 20-year-old kid who made the roster out of camp and has had a real impact on this group. So despite not having the traditional ways of, getting fresh blood into the lineup, you got 2 young players that are on the cheap, one of them on their ELC, having an impact. And that's huge for a group like this.
Yeah, you mentioned everything McFarland went through last year, like the way the season ended with Ranton and all of that. If any GM deserves to just have a breather of a season, it's probably him as well. You mentioned Malinsky. I want to wrap on one more on the blue line. 40-year-old Brent Burns playing close to 20 minutes a night this year. First off, for you as a media guy, how much fun has it been to cover Brent Burns? And also, what's his impact been like on that blue line?
Yeah, no, he's been fun. This is a locker room that's got some characters in it, and he definitely added to it. He's an interesting guy. He's different than anyone else I've ever covered or been around in one of those rooms. Like, he's great, but he's great in a different way than most guys that you run into in a hockey locker room. But he's had a bigger impact on that back end than I think people would think. Not only quietly 14 points from the back end. He's producing, but he's eating minutes that Cale Makar and Devon Taves have had to eat in years past. Like, the Avs haven't had another guy that you can roll out there 20 plus minutes a night, every night. Like, Josh Manson's a good defender. Sam Girard, I think is, sneakily underrated around the league, but those aren't, minute munchers. Brent Burns is out there killing penalties. He's playing on the power play. Jared Bednar trusts him late in situations. O-zone starts, D-zone starts. He's made Cale Makar's life easier. And, I think we're seeing, how not that Cale Makar had a bad year last year, but he just looks, again, another guy who looks to be, more fresh, a little bit on a different level. That entire D-corps, they just love him. He's had a really big impact, not just with what he's doing, but what he's allowing other guys to do, if that makes sense.
No, totally. The trickle down effect of that is significant. Jesse, great work as always. Appreciate you popping on. People watching, you can read his work at Gorilla Sports, and we'll chat again soon.
Awesome. Always love chatting with you boys. Take it easy.
Hey, hockey fans, if you enjoyed that video, then make sure you hit the subscribe button right here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube. We have you covered for everything you need. Exclusive interviews on The Sheet with Jeff Merrick, all the latest hockey news on Daily Faceoff Live, and you can always get your morning started with Johnny Lazarus and Colby Cohn on Morning Cup of Hockey. Don't miss a minute. Hit that subscribe button.